The downside to doing what we've done is that you are completely dependent on success. If you don't win cases, you won't eat. And so we've managed to survive and thrive.
This conference room is a financial ER. There's no blood on the floor, but there's nest eggs on the floor or green monies on the floor, and tears are often flowing because it's a traumatic event for most people to lose a chunk of dough in an offering that they thought was safe.
Banks in America are required to know the business of their customers. That was designed to prevent human trafficking, drug trafficking, and those sorts of crimes.
Oregon is a safe haven for investors. But that doesn't mean it's a difficult place for companies to raise money either. They just have to be careful, and there's no one, no one's not coming here because they can't raise money.
Beginning in the early teens, 19 teens, every state adopted blue sky laws that protected investors within the state. The federal government modified those laws but adopted them in the 1930s. Under Reagan, of course, the federal laws have become deregulated, and at the same point in time, in the beginning of the 1980s, states began deregulating securities. And so the short form is that Oregon has never changed its laws. Other states have allowed their laws to become eroded.
The law here is unique. It allows one to go after those, what might call the gatekeepers, the aiders and the betters. These are the lawyers and the accountants, the appraisers, the banks, who all have insurance or assets, whereas the actual sellers typically do not, and they're under criminal investigation and have court-appointed lawyers, and they don't have any assets to even pay private lawyers. So the gatekeepers are, you can't do that in most states in this country, and you can't do it in the federal scheme either.
And so Oregon requires professionals who are involved with people raising capital from the public market to exercise reasonable care in whatever function they may have. So if it's an accountant preparing financial statements for a person doing an offering, if it's a doctor rendering an opinion, if it's a economist rendering an opinion, they're required to exercise reasonable care in preparing their part of the offering. If it's a lawyer drafting the offering materials, he's required to exercise reasonable care to make sure that there's a complete disclosure. It's a very sensible operation. Other states have abandoned that as a part of the general move to deregulation. And that's unfortunate because it leaves people without protection.
And we'll work for 2 years without any recovery. So we work lean and mean. We haven't had to borrow money. We always have a certain amount of steady clients that sort of pay the light bills, keep us going when we don't have a major recovery in a securities case. We surrendered to that lifestyle 30, 40 years ago.
We invest our time before we agree to take the case, because once we take the case, we can't afford to lose it. And we can't afford to lose it not just because we won't eat if we don't win the case, but if we start losing cases, then our reputation is diminished, and so it becomes more difficult to manipulate and demand settlements from opposing parties. So we're dependent upon maintaining a track record.
And I mean, not to say everybody that walks in here is destitute, and we're saints that represent them on a contingent fee so they don't have to pay. Some of our clients are wealthy, and they deserve a pat on the back too, because they fund some of the decisions that have come down from appeal courts here that have helped the total environment.
We haven't had any trouble getting clients.
Because we sue like gentlemen.